Just remember before you complain about episode 10 that you asked for this. So for the last few weeks, I've been building a copy of the original Lofty Mech while recording every single piece on a sheet of paper, then digitizing that sheet of paper into a step-by-step template. Then I built another copy of the Lofty Mech based off of the template while recording it. Then I edited together hours of footage, cutting as much as I could out while leaving enough for you to be able to follow along. Basically, I expect everyone who commented asking for this to actually build it. But one of you won't have to build it yourselves, because I'm hosting a giveaway! That's right, I'm giving away this completed mech to one lucky subscriber. Even you have a chance to win it. Well, not you, because you never win this kind of thing. Information on how to enter the giveaway is placed strategically somewhere in the middle of the video. This video is already way too long as it is, so without further ado, here's what you'll need. Normal cardboard, cardboard with thin corrugation, cardboard with no corrugation, these Legos, or off-brand Legos, 4 magnets, Gorilla Super Glue, nail glue, a box cutter, scissors, and hot glue. The first step is to assemble the armature. Now I know Lego fans don't like it when I glue and cut Lego, but I get a lot of my parts from Wii, which is a company that sells off-brand Lego. Wii is perfect for getting armature pieces because it's cheap, you don't have to feel bad about cutting and gluing Lego, and they sell Bionicles. Now I have to be honest, their quality control isn't perfect. There were a lot more defected pieces than I was used to seeing, but considering their price and the fact that most of their pieces are still very high quality, I think it's well worth it. This tutorial will follow a very simple pattern. You take the template, cut out the pieces in the order I show you, then you trace the pieces on the size of cardboard specified by that piece. Then you cut out what you traced and attach the piece to the mech. For this first piece, I like to add a rim covering the corrugation. To do this, you get non-corrugated cardboard and use it to kind of measure the thickness of the piece. Then you hot glue the edge of the first piece and then wrap the sliver around it. And you may need to cut more than one sliver to get all the way around. By the way, if you didn't already guess, this template is available to download in the description. For this next piece, you need to score the 3 segments. This means you take a knife and cut part of the way through the cardboard so you can fold it. You don't have to do this, but it allows for a much cleaner fold. Here, you take the first armature piece and hot glue the front. Then you take that box piece and fit it to where the 2 grooves fit into the ball joints on either side. I like to use hot glue in these folds, but you don't really have to do that. Corrugation refers to the grooves in the cardboard, so basically the thickness of it. Normal corrugation is basically just any old Amazon box, and I get my thin corrugation from things like oatmeal boxes. And no corrugation is kind of hard to find naturally, but it's pretty cheap on Amazon. Now we get to the painful part, which is super gluing bricks. And I know we just put hot glue all over the first one, but somehow super gluing it just feels worse. Like, even though they're off-brand bricks, this still just feels really wrong. Remember to pay attention to the size of corrugation specified on each piece. For some parts it doesn't really matter as much, but for others it really needs to be the right corrugation to get the best results. So I spent a lot of time trying to make these instructions and this template as comprehensive as possible. But inevitably, it's still a pretty imprecise process. For example, these 2 pieces here don't quite fit where they were intended to go, due to the placement of earlier pieces being slightly off compared to the model that I based the template on. So you might have to modify some of these pieces slightly to fit your mech shape. Moving on to the hip, which is just 2 pieces. By the way, right after I post this video, I'm gonna live stream building another mech from scratch using my template, so be sure to stop by. And this doesn't apply to you because you're watching this in the future. But still, feel free to go check out the streams to watch me painfully build the mech in real time. Now let's move on to the right arm. So for this little piece right here, I use a technique that I like to call fill the corrugation with hot glue to create a solid, thick piece. To do this, you fill the corrugation with hot glue to create a solid, thick piece. This piece you kind of bend a little, but you can't really score it because it's so thin. So just bending it's fine. Throughout the build, you'll find these gaps that you can actually fill with hot glue and cardboard bits to make a more solid piece. When filling the corrugation with hot glue, make sure you let it dry before you try to put another piece on top of it, otherwise you'll just end up squeezing all the hot glue out of it. This next piece doesn't fold in a specific way, instead you kind of wrap it around this joint piece. Alright, now about the giveaway. All you have to do to enter is like, subscribe, and comment, "I want a Lofty Mech." Okay, technically you don't have to like or subscribe because I have no way to track that, so yeah. Good luck to anyone entering. Which, you know, if I'm wishing luck to everyone, that kind of cancels out. But anyway. Now moving on to the foot. For the base of the foot, take a knife and cut this asterisk shape into the middle of it. This allows you to punch this brick through it. And here we break out the superglue nail glue stuff. Basically, it's just really liquidy superglue. You use this glue differently than most glues. Instead of putting the glue on the surface and then sticking the pieces together, you hold the pieces together and then drip the glue onto it. This is really the only way to do it. It does not work the other way around. Inconveniently, this means it's much easier to glue your fingers together. Now, the Gorilla Glue is much better to use for binding the cardboard to the Bionicle, but keep in mind that you have to give it a little more time to dry. And the reason I'm using super glue on the feet is because the feet need to be sturdy since you're going to be constantly sticking it and unsticking it to Lego boards. You really need to be careful when you use this nail glue because it's super powerful stuff. You should really probably wear gloves, and you should definitely wear eye protection. But I just love how solid of a piece you can get by using this. Like I said before, cardboard will absorb the super glue and turn it into a super solid plastic-like material. So the left leg is identical to the right, except mirrored. And I'm not going to show building the left leg because it's the same thing and this video is just way too long already. Now moving on to the right arm. So any of these pieces that I have the gray lines on are supposed to be used to mark where to fold it. And this piece being thin corrugation, you really don't need to score it. This little box support isn't really necessary if you want to skip over it. It's just another way to make the arm more structurally sound. And you may have noticed some of these pieces are numbered out of order, and that's fine. It doesn't really matter for the most part. Just follow the order that I'm doing it in. And whenever I make a box like this, I like to fill it with just a little layer of hot glue to really solidify the piece. When you connect the arm to the mech, don't forget to add this little shoulder joint. This adds so much more movement to the arm. You can even put two on there if you want. Okay, so the hand is pretty tricky. You're basically fitting these Lego pieces into these slits and then holding it together in this wrap. Once you do that, you fill the hole with hot glue. And this is a good place to throw in tiny scraps of cardboard that you have lying around. And if you followed me this far, you're definitely swimming in a pile of cardboard scraps. And you just kind of have to hold it until it dries. But to me, this technique is so satisfying because when you're done, you really have a super solid piece. Alright, now moving on to the fingers. Okay, this finger shape is kind of hard to get just right, but basically you want it to kind of look like an ingot. Now I have these pieces on the template to cap the finger off, but I don't use them because I find it easier to fill the finger with hot glue and then put it upside down on a piece of non-corrugated cardboard. Then you wait until it dries and cut the shape right off the finger. Make 2 of these for each hand. And again, I'm not going to show you building the left arm because it's the same thing and this video is really dragging on. Moving on to the laser cannons. Depending on the thickness of your cardboard, you may have to trim down the edges of these sliver pieces. And for those of you who don't know, this mech isn't entirely original. I kind of copied Ares from Next Gen, but you know, no one's keeping track, right? In the future, I'm gonna try to make my mechs more original. And now, perhaps the easiest part of the whole mech, the shields. To connect the shield to the arm, I get 2 magnets and I leave them connected. That way I can get the placement just right in addition to guaranteeing I don't get the magnets backwards. And the last step is to color it, which is just outlining all the pieces with a black Sharpie. But you can totally give this thing a custom paint job. A lot of people said I should paint mine, and now that I have 3, maybe I'll paint one of them, but we'll see. Congratulations! You just made an incredibly epic mech! But you probably didn't. You probably just sat there and watched me. Either way, I'm grateful you made it to the end of the video. And by the slim chance any of you did follow along and build your own, I want to see it. Please, email me pictures using the email in the channel description. Alright, that about wraps this one up. You are a legend for making it to the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey! You trying to give away my mech?